Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sha-Poppin podcast. I'm your host, Stacy, with the Y-No-E, and I am sitting here with none other than amazing voice, amazing actress, Pia Renee. If you don't know her, you should. Mm-hmm. Hello, Pia.
Okay, Stacy with a Y-No-E.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, I want to get my vowels correct. Hey, y'all.
We're just these are the intimate moments that we're gonna have with Pia Renee. We're just gonna let things flow. You know how I do it. So, Pia, let's start.
Okay.
Tell us about Pia Renee.
Girl, what you want to know? There's so many trajectories and catacombs and all that. So I always joke and say that my life is like 3 Tyler Perry movies and a Lifetime special knit in one person's life. So there are many different parts to it, many different experiences, but as it stands, I'm a singer, songwriter, bass player, actress, on camera and behind the scenes, which is also known as voice acting. And I am a human being sojourning through life in 2024, which we all know is very interesting, and some would call it ghetto.
Absolutely. That's the perfect word. So let's start with your voice acting. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know about it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they know about it, and they can hear it every day. Mm-hmm. All they got to do is tune in. So we're going to talk about your voice acting.
Okay, so I have been, more people have heard me speak than have heard me sing. And I started with Walmart. Walmart was my very first voiceover client. And it's how I broke into the business. And it's so divine how it all happened. I decided to take the leap from my corporate job without a plan, with no savings, no 401k. I took the leap without no parachute at all.
That was called faith.
Yeah, it was faith, and I thank you. It was faith, because I would call it some other things too.
Of course.
Yeah, and in the process, I ended up injuring my voice a week after, so I could not sing for like 6 months. I had to rehab my voice. I couldn't take no gigs. I couldn't do the studio because I couldn't sing in the studio because my voice would get fatigued so quickly. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I can't make money how I planned on doing this. So I was driving Lyft like for copious amounts of hours of the day, like 14 hours and up. And then I ended up picking up a guy that was a truck driver. Mm-hmm. And he was like, man, how long you been out here? Because I picked him up like at a weird hour. Mm-hmm. And I told him, he was like, well, if you can do this for this amount of time, you could drive a truck. And then that started me down the rabbit hole of becoming a trucker. Long story short, I was driving trucks for about maybe a month and a half, when I got called to do a gig at this, what was known as the 3% conference, which was hosted by FCB. FCB is a global ad agency, and they have a headquarters here in Chicago. And they wanted, as a part of their programming, they had this creative collective that they hired called Clark Street Bridge. They reached out to me to play bass guitar. They wanted a woman. They asked me to sing along to some songs, and then they looked at my YouTube and was like, hey, could you do a poem by Maya Angelou and Still I Rise? So you know anything about Maya, you got to put some soul and some stank on it.
Absolutely.
And so I did that. We sang our songs, we did our thing, and then the poetry part came around. So before me, there were 2 other ladies that went up and they did poems, and they were dry. They were dry like Popeye's biscuits. God bless them.
Bless their heart.
And then I get up here and I'm like, you got to put some respect on Maya, because the ancestors will come and hunt you if you don't.
Absolutely.
And I did. And little did I know that the CCO, the Chief Creative Officer for FCB, was the MC. And they were gearing up to pitch to Walmart for some of their PR business. They had not won the business yet. They had been, and I found this out hindsight, they had been scouting for a voice for a year before I came along. So this lady was in the back of the room. I get up there and I start doing this poem. She literally starts walking up to the stage, pulls her phone out, starts recording me. Mm-hmm. The event was being streamed back to the agency anyway for the people who couldn't come.
Really?
So long story short, I'm up here just doing this poem, trying to do my best to make my little coins for the day. After I get off stage, like multiple people came up to me and was like, oh my God, that was amazing. And it was women like, Still I Rise resonates with me as a Black woman because it was written by a Black woman and I assume for Black women, but a lot of white women were coming up to me like teary-eyed, and it just blew my mind how that piece resonated with women that are not women of color. So it just took my perspective to a whole nother place. And so all while that was happening, other people were walking up to me saying, well, FCB wants you to come in for a read. They want you to come in. I'm like, okay, all right, I got the day off. Why not?
Why not?
So several people throughout the day as we were packing up, getting ready to go, stopped to say, hey, FCB wants you. And I'm like, okay, sure. I'm not thinking nothing of it because at the time I'm just happy to get paid so I can pay my daughter's tuition. Right. I'm like, as soon as this deposit hit, I'm calling K-State like, hey, release my baby's food card and her printing privileges.
Absolutely. Let her get back to her studies.
Yeah, so I'm not caught up in none of what's going on for the day. So eventually, FCB, it's in the John Hancock building. We were at Navy Pier. So I just drove down the street, went there, got in the building, and it was so surreal. As soon as I got off the elevator, it was 6 people just sitting there. Hi, Pia, how are you? And it was kind of weird. Like, get out. I'm like, hey, what's up, everybody? And before they did anything, they was like, hey, would you sign this, please? So they slid an NDA in front of me. And I was like, all right, I know what this is. So I signed it. They whisked me off into the studio room. And they was like, well, the client we want to talk to you about is Walmart. I was like, oh, okay. So I read the script. They still auditioned people for it after that, but they used my voice, pitched it to Walmart, won the business, and that's history. So that very same year, I got a Super Bowl commercial with Walmart. So when I say more people thus far have heard me speak than sing, they know my voice, but maybe not my face. That's what I mean. So since then, I worked with Boeing, Nestle, Ford, CNN. And CNN is like a one that's really, all of them mean a lot to me, but CNN specifically because you don't hear a lot of women that work in news promos, especially Black women. And I did the news promo for their Matter of Trust show. I don't think it was long aired. And then they did another documentary about the camera women that would go into war zones and film what was happening. Yes. So that was about them, and I cannot recall the name of the documentary, but I did the promo for them for that documentary as well for CNN. So that was
that's a big deal.
Huge for me. So
because I do remember that piece when they was talking about the war zone and camera people going in, but they kind of like honed in on women being there because that focus is always on not us as women. It goes to the male journalists and not the women because there's a lot of us out in that field. But then knowing that you were the voice behind all that, that's wonderful and amazing. It's amazing. That's kudos to you.
Thank you.
Kudos to you. So I'm learning something like too outside of that. So that's that voice that you pay attention to. But now I know a lot of you are going to pay more attention to it. You're going to be like, okay, now put the face with the voice. Because she's out there. You just didn't know this was the face. Yes. The beautiful face behind those commercials and everything. This is it, right? And this is that. So we went through the voiceovers, and then let's go into something else. What do you want to talk about now? You want to talk about your music?
Go ahead, you got it.
I know you're doing. Look, I know you're doing a lot, and I know you've been doing a lot. I know you went to your album release party, which was amazing. Thank you for inviting me out there. It was
Thank you
wonderful.
for coming.
Yes, I had a wonderful time. She has an angelic voice. It is beautiful. Let's talk about your acting career. I know you're doing some things right now.
Yes.
I know you're doing some things. I saw you out there. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about your acting career. What have you done? And let's kind of like ease into where you at right now.
Yes. So the agency I'm represented by as a voiceover talent has an on-camera division. So me being ambitious, I'm like, hey, since I'm here, why don't y'all just put me on some on-camera stuff? And the on-camera folks was like, hey, well, you kind of need a TV resume before we could just start throwing you stuff. So I'm like, okay. So it just so happened to work out really well for me that I did The Voice, and it was televised because that opened the door for me to start doing auditions for TV shows that are based here in Chicago. So after I did a couple of appearances on Empire, but that was so long ago, it wasn't really helpful to my cause to get back into TV for speaking roles. So by me being in the Actors Union SAG-AFTRA, because of voice acting, it made it all the more advantageous for me to roll into TV stuff as not as an extra, but actually eligible for speaking roles. Wonderful. So after The Voice, I got casted for the 4400, which is a reboot of the show that was out back in the day. I think, was it called the 4400 back then?
4400.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a reboot of that. Then after that, I got casted for Chicago Fire. Mm-hmm. That was crazy because I looked like a 60-year-old lady when I was supposed to look like me, a 40-something-year-old, but they dressed me like my mama, so it's okay.
Look, but you was there.
Yes,
you did.
I was there, and I got to meet that super fine man of a lieutenant. The child. Woo.
That's when you should have called.
Woo, girl.
I would have loved to have been on set.
Girl,
just to see you.
listen.
I know.
I said, yes, Lord, get me up out of here because this man is fine. So then Chicago Fire, and then after that I did, Southside, which was that was like one of my favorite sets to be on. Really? Because it's really relaxed, because it's comedy. Okay. So they're not where Chicago PD, everything is very, I don't want to say strict, but it's very by the book. Like, these are your lines, this is how you deliver, this, don't go off script.
Just
whereas Southside, as long as it's funny, say whatever you want to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's always the best.
Oh my God. It was such a pleasure working with them. Wonderful. Oh my God, it was the best. Wonderful. And then recently I got casted for The Shy. Yes. So, did you see me over there? Or did you see my post? Were you over there?
I saw a little bit of you. That's how I know that I was going to ease into that.
Okay, yeah.
I know you was there.
Yeah, so I got casted for The Shy for the season 6 that'll be resuming in May. So wonderful. I believe it's episode 12, but we'll see which episode it is.
They need to have you for 12, 13,
Listen,
14,
I was so tempted to feed the people a storyline. Like, look, if you cast me for this, if you create this kind of storyline, you can cast me and I can come in and do that part.
Exactly.
But I was like, chill out, for they don't call you back for nothing.
Look, you're going to do so well, they're going to call you back.
Yes, absolutely. But it's an art. You want to be, and being a creative entrepreneur, you have to be opportunistic. It just is what it is. And people tend to use the word opportunist in a negative, with a negative tinge on it. Right. But it is what it is. When you are an entrepreneur of any kind, you have to be. You got
to put yourself out
there. You have to be. Now you have to be respectful. You should be respectful. You should be ethical. You should be, not stepping on folks' toes and not being a nuisance, but you absolutely have to seize the moment and seize the day. And if you see something that speaks to you and it looks like an opportunity, you should definitely present that in the most palatable way possible. Right. So,
and you said it right. You're an entrepreneur. You have to put yourself out there, because if you don't have faith in yourself, nobody else is going to have that faith in you. And if you know your craft, like you're going to do it. Just go out there and do what you're supposed to do. I would say knock it out of the ballpark, because you've been doing that. Now, speaking of knocking out the ballpark, I'm not going to say you've done some things on the baseball field.
Yes.
You've done some things on the basketball court.
Yes.
So let's talk about that too.
Yes. So I sang the national anthem at the Crosstown Classic for when the Cubs and the Sox play against each other. I did that once. It was a great experience. We got to sit in the owner's box, which was really fun.
Wonderful.
They got some amazing snacks up there. It's some good eating up there. Ooh, it's some
good snacks.
Ooh, girl, I'm like, listen, you can't be on keto up there in the owner's box. You just can't. It ain't gonna work.
No.
And then I sang the national anthem for the Chicago Bulls a few times. It's always fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy them so much.
I know.
The Lovables are my favorite.
Good.
My mama got casted to be a Lovable back in the 80s, but she found out she was pregnant with me, so she couldn't do it. So when I go there, it's like, oh, it feels kind of full circle in a way.
Right. Because you resonate what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, you know what my mama did?
Yeah.
And you know what? Now I'm here.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the last time I went, my sister, the second oldest out of my mother's children, she was with me. She was assisting me, and she felt the same thing I felt.
Yeah.
She felt that same thing, and she got a little emotional and teary-eyed, just like I did the first time I felt it. And so it was a great experience. I love, just being around. It's like, being around and it's funny. Okay, now I'm not gonna say that.
Say it.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. So the first time I went, it was the Bulls versus the Golden State.
Okay.
So it was cool. Everybody, was in their little spots and doing their thing. But then the second time I went recently was the Bulls versus the 76ers. And the 76ers was just choosing. You hear me? I was like, is they looking at me? Because I'm looking back. I'm looking back, girl. I'm like, nah, see, he here for a good time, not a long time. But I'm going to just let this man look and smile, and I'm going to look and smile and go on about my business.
View the menu. View the menu.
Oh, you too? All right. Let me chill out, because I don't know what type of time y'all on, but it's flattering.
and that's okay. That's all right. But you were in the house and doing big things, and I'm seeing you grow. I've seen you grow, Pia.
Thank you.
I've seen you do so much.
Thank you.
And I look at you as you are family. Let's start with that. You are family. Let's get that out of the.
We co-grandmas one day.
Right.
One day we gonna share a grandbaby.
That's right. Absolutely.
It's been in the works since sophomore year of high school. No,
freshman.
Freshman year.
Freshman year.
Yeah. Yes. What is that? 10 years?
Almost 11 now.
Jesus Christ.
Almost 11 years together. Okay.
Oh, we gonna have a grandbaby together.
One day, real soon.
One day. Lord have mercy. I always be trying to assert my dominance because the mama side rules and I'm on the daddy side. So I be like, I'm the main grandma. But I already know I lost. I know that.
Now, look, I've had my experience right now, so we're going to share another one, okay? Because I'm going to need some help with that second one, okay? So we have talked about your voice acting. We've talked about the national anthems that you've been singing. Let's go to The Voice. She has been on The Voice. I know if any Voice people have been watching. This is Pia Renee. She has been there. She has done that. She did an amazing job. So I'm going to let her talk about that experience as well.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, child, let me tell you. So I have done out of the, what is it? It's the three major. Well, one is a variety show, America's Got Talent. That's a little bit of a mixed bag. I did that when I got far, but I didn't present. I wasn't fully prepared, so I probably would have got on that one too. But this was way back in my 20s, so I did American Idol in my 20s as well. But The Voice is the one that I went the furthest, and it's the most recent. So The Voice, this is when I gave myself permission to be seen. So there was a time where I literally said out my mouth, I'd rather be heard than seen. And I just said it and didn't think nothing else about it. And shortly, not long after that, that's when my voice acting career started. All the things, serendipitous things happened in my voice acting career started. And the way that it went to it started on a high level and it's remained on a high level. And that I believe that was God telling me, hey, I built you for something great. Come out of those places where you shrink yourself, where you hide, where you wonder if what you're desiring and what you're seeing, if you're really supposed to be doing this, if it's really meant for you. So when I stepped back and took inventory of that, I said, well, I give myself permission to be seen. And when I submit, the voice, COVID happened, and then I was on their mailing list because I'd auditioned before. So they sent me this email saying, "Hey, if you want to submit video auditions, we're accepting video submissions." And I had the content. I was like, because I'm not standing in nobody else's 8+ hour line. I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm not doing it.
That's right.
So
That was the
child. Listen, I stood in line for 14+ hours for American Idol in the scorching Texas heat. Child, never again. I'm not doing it. I ain't had no money. I had Pierre with me. He was like 7 or 8. Girl,
I saw that video.
Listen, it was
rough.
That's when I was a starving artist.
Now you are here.
Yes. So I submitted the videos. They reached out and said, we had some back and forth correspondence, and eventually they extended an invitation to me to kick off season 20. Okay. And so one thing that I love about my path is that I've had some very unique experiences. I grew up singing in church. That's like most girls that's from Chicago, that's Black. That's what it is. Church. For the most part. But from that, I cut my teeth professionally as a musician in reggae music and Ethiopop, which is basically Ethiopian pop music, which has a reggae world music element to it. Okay. So when I went into The Voice, I went in as a reggae artist, knowing that was going to set me apart from most of the other singers that were R&B, soul, pop, because that's generally the genres that culturally we gravitate towards. Exactly. And so came in under the banner of being a reggae artist. COVID protocols was heavy. We didn't have an audience. We had folks on the screen, which was cool for me. It just took the edge off of it some, and it made it more of an intimate experience in the studio. It was great, and all while that high was happening, I experienced the lowest low, which was losing my mother in the process. So when I flew out, my mom had just been admitted to the hospital when I left. And while I was there still in quarantine, because we had to, every time we arrived, because we shot it in increments. So we would come, stay for months at a time, go home, come back, stay for months at a time, and so on and so forth. So I went there. She got admitted, I think, a day or two after Christmas. She was in the hospital when I got there. She had been hospitalized before, but this time felt real different. It just felt different.
I know, you could feel it.
Yeah. And I was in quarantine. She spent her 60th birthday in that bed fighting. She was arguing with the nurses. I want to stand up. It's my birthday. Let me stand up. It's my birthday. And while I was just about to exit the quarantine period, she passed away. So I'm in this room, the walls are thin. I mean, I could hear my neighbor next to me. I could hear him doing his, talking on his phone with a regular inside voice. So I know the wailing and the crying and the guttural crying. I know he can hear it. And for me, I didn't want to impact anybody else's experience on the show with my grief and them just having to hear that, So I would literally just bury my face in the pillow and cry, or I would just hold it in, and so I was released from the show to go home to funeralize my mother, basically. And they told me, if you do, they gave me the breakdown. They didn't tell me what I had to do, what I should have did, they didn't give me any parameters. They were very, very respectful to me, and they handled me very well in the process, and I appreciated that. They said, if you can come back at this point, you could probably jump in at this point. If you come back here, you could do this. But, so they were very accommodating. They were. And based on the fact that the production was subject to, if the main director, one of the main producers or talent got a positive COVID test, then production had to be paused. So all of those things ended up working out to my favor. And then, oddly enough, John Legend's grandmother passed in the process as well. So, I think that probably is why I ended up having a window, because his grandmother died, he wasn't available, and my mama passed. So that's what provided us with an extra window that allowed me to come home and for 7 days, sun up, sundown, planning a funeral. And I'm the oldest, so certain things just fall
Fall on your lap.
Fell to me. So I literally was sitting in the funeral home with the funeral director. There were certain milestones that we had as a team legend. So we have to be on with our social media person. We have to be on with the attorneys, and we had certain meetings we had to have. So I'm literally sitting across from the funeral director, picking out flowers and obituary fonts with the voice in my earbud. So I'm talking to her and them at the same time. Got them on mute, and the minute they come to me to talk to me about my thing, my artistry, I have to tell her to hold on, and I'm trying to match the energy of everybody else on the team, and I'm in this process. So it's like,
it's a lot. It was a lot.
At the same time as the oldest child, I'm sitting here by myself. None of my siblings are there with me because everybody's shell shocked at this point.
And you were the strong one that's handling business and family business.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? What is this? Mm-hmm. God, why? Of all the times, of all the things, this now here, why? What is happening? Right. So, planned the funeral. I was literally back in LA. The night of her funeral, I was back in LA, back in quarantine, back in the same exact room that I got the news that she passed in. The same night of her funeral. So everybody, the whole family's together at the house, and I gotta hurry up, get my bag, get to Midway, get on Southwest, get back to LA. And I'm dragging this big suitcase back in the room, back in quarantine, 5 days in pure isolation. Nobody.
Where it started.
No human contact. No. If it's not a phone call, there's nobody hugging me. There's nobody holding me. There's no person that's sitting next to me talking to nothing. You know.
I remember speaking with you during that time. Mm-hmm. And I told you, she's gonna always be with you. Mm-hmm. And I tell you now, she's with you now.
Oh,
that's your angel.
I believe that.
That's your angel. She's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. She's gonna see you through everything. She saw you through the voice. Mm-hmm. That she was in that room talking to you. She was in that room. She gave you your strength. You know that, right? She gave it to you.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. God talks to me a lot through songs. Mm-hmm. So if I'm dealing with something and I'm just at a stalemate within, or if I can't figure it out, or I'm just looking for answers to come to me, it's a song that'll play in the back of my head. And if I know I haven't heard the song, I ain't thinking about the song, I know it's a message in it for me. Then I'll go look at the lyrics and God will break something down for me. So the day my mother passed, the day before, this song kept playing in my head. It's a gospel song by Callie Day. And I'm like, I ain't thought about this song, I ain't heard this song. And I was just like, I just remember that she kept saying amen a lot, like, amen. And I was like, okay. And amen means it's finished, basically. And I'm like, Lord, please, God, no. I hope this is not what you're telling me. So I went and I looked up the lyrics, and your servant is tired, your servant is weary, no more suffering. I was like, so I knew it was coming.
She was talking.
I knew it was coming. And so the next day, 5 a.m.,
she was talking to you that day. She was talking to you. She probably had already transitioned. She was speaking to you. And letting you know she was tired.
Yeah. Girl, and let me tell you, when I got back to that same room, the same spot I was sitting in when that song came to me, Stevie Wonder's Ass. Do, 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 do. Toe up. I was tore because I knew it was her. I knew it was her. And every time I hear that song, it takes me out. So interestingly enough, on the show, so we have a final, I forgot what it's called. It's like a final save song. And the producers pick the song. Like, we get a list to choose from. And like, you can pick 4, and then they'll narrow it down and they'll pick the one that you do. So Victor, who was on my team, which funny enough was in the same first grade class as Pierre.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Victor.
Really?
Yes, Victor and Pierre was in Miss Green's class.
Really?
In Miss Green's class at Spencer School. They grew up together
goodness.
for a brief period of time, but then his mom moved him to Peoria. But that it was crazy how like
Full circle.
I'm like, this is like my baby. Like, this is my son, but my son away from home.
That's right. You were meant to be there.
Yes.
Meant to
Yes. And his song, his Final Save song was that Stevie Wonder song. So let me tell you, the day that I was, the day that I exited the show, because he got the most votes, so he moved on to the top 5. We had to rehearse our songs. So I'm sitting backstage and we just, dealing, doing what we do. And he started rehearsing that song. I lost it. It was so intense that we had, because there were heavy COVID protocols, they had a third party company come and monitor everybody behind the scenes to make sure that folks was following the protocol. 6 feet, masks on, face coverings. And it was so serious that some people actually got fired if they were not. Yes, like they were getting folks. They were not playing. There was, because The Voice was one of the few productions that was allowed to continue filming at that time, because a lot of other shows got shut down completely. So they were super strict. When I tell you I cried, boo-hoo, ugly, cried so hard, what we call the COVID police, they left the area. They got up out of Dodge. They're like, they don't know. This too much.
They wanted to give you your time because they know what you was going through.
I think it was just so intense that it was a lot. I mean, it was the ugly, rolling on the floor, gutter,
the heart wrenching.
Oh yeah, because again, I had compartmentalized it as much as I could. I had my moments, and then I was busy with the show, and then not only that, but I'm the oldest of my sibling group. Again, I'm not at home to handle certain business, close accounts, direct money over here, show this kid how to do this. I'm not there to do that. So I have folks mad at me, folks upset about stuff. I can't. So everything around me seemed like it was crumbling. I was in an awful relationship at the time. And it was just all of that stuff was happening all at once. And so the last thing my mother said to me actually was, you focus and you finish, don't worry about me. So as much as when I think back on everything that I had to endure, everything that was going on at the time, when I think back on it, like, how did I do all that? How did I get through that? It was because of what she said to me. She said, finish, focus and finish. Okay.
And that's what you kept hearing in your head.
Yeah.
Finish. Don't worry about her. She's had her time. She knew what time it was, but she's gonna always be there. Yeah. So that's what she was telling me. Just to keep going, and she's gonna keep telling you, keep going. Yeah. You're doing great. You're doing great. I've always told you I'm gonna support you. I'll always support you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna be in that background. Pick up the phone whenever you need me. Call me.
Thank you.
And that's what happens to let us here today. Because I picked up the phone and I said, hey, Pia, what you doing? And I told her about the podcast and I'm starting, and I made a vow to women, especially coming up to Women's Month in March, to do something for businesses and talent that needs to be focused on. And when I told her about that, she said, I'm there. I'm there. I said, what time are you available? She said, I'm there at 6 o'clock. And that's why we're here tonight. Intimate conversations with Pia Renee. So what else, you want to share with us? Because, this is just free. Free.
So, I want to talk about, I love the fact that you are so pro-woman. And it ain't just you saying that just because it sounds good to say because you a woman, like I'm for the girls. You are really that. And you've been, and without this camera, without whoever's watching, you have been real family to me. Like, I remember when Pierre had his accident, my battery was dead. Nobody could reach me. By the time it was charged up, you were the first person that I heard from. You was orchestrating everything as a mother in my stead for my baby in a very serious and critical time. So you have truly been beyond just a supporter of women, beyond a supporter of me as an artist and an entrepreneur, creative entrepreneur. You have really, really been my family. And I do appreciate you for that. Thoroughly.
I appreciate you.
Thoroughly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thoroughly.
That means so much. You're bringing tears to my eyes. Don't you do that?
Yeah.
You know, way about that. But I just like to be who I am. I stay humble to what, and I stay true to what I say. I like to be humble because God put me here for a reason. Don't know what that reason is. He leads me in the direction, and sometimes I can have 100 things on my plate. But if He tells me I'm gonna give you one more, and I'm gonna give you 101, I'm gonna try my best to do it.
Yeah.
And I just get led to where the Spirit tells me to go. Yeah. And we, like I said, it's family, and I'm gonna be there. Yeah. I'm gonna always be there, and I'm gonna always support you, the kids, whatever I gotta do. Just know that, and you know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it. I know it.
I'm looking at you now. Look.
Girl, and it's interesting because as much as when I say the things I've done, the clients I've had, the shows I've been on, oftentimes it's like, damn, I forgot about CNN. I forgot about, wow. Because a lot of times I don't feel like it's enough.
You have done so much.
It don't feel like
so many accolades.
Yeah.
And you have to recognize that you're out here, you're doing it, and you've done so much. So don't shortchange yourself. Because you have amazing talent.
Thank you.
And it goes from your instruments to your songs, to your songwriting, to your acting, to your voice. It's just there. You just have it all. That whole package. And a lot of people don't have that. They have one or the other. They have two or three. You got it all. You can do it all. And I am so proud of you. If I haven't said, and I probably said it, but I'm going to say it right now. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
For everything that you've done. And like I said, I've seen you grow into who you are right now.
Thank you. Okay. So where I was going with this is here. When and I know I'm not the only one. If it's something that is resonant and present for me, it may be present and resonant for someone else. As a creative person or entrepreneur, business owner, or a regular working mom, because I done been all of that. I dig a ditch if I need to keep the light bill on, the light bill paid. We can have a tendency to be very unaware of what's going on within ourselves and not account for our own self-care and how to be kind to ourselves. We know how to go out and get it. We know how to go out and make sure that the kids sleep peacefully and they don't got to worry about it. And if they caught a whiff of something that was off or, in critical standing, we make sure we clean it up in a way where, oh, no, go to sleep, go play your game, go have your friends over. But that oftentimes does not, I'll say for me, I'm learning how to tap into myself and how to be kind to myself and not, how do I say this?
You don't want to neglect yourself. That's the main thing.
Not neglect, yes. You don't want to neglect yourself, but also identifying the root of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's because, I got to provide. I have a dream and I got to provide. But sometimes it's from a place of not being affirmed or valued. So it's like, I'm going to show them, or I'm going to prove that I am, and you know what I mean? So it becomes this thing where ego drives you. And then the authentic you that was hurt, that was broken, that wasn't affirmed, that wasn't fed, that wasn't nurtured, is behind this behemoth of an ego. And this, the real you is behind these accomplishments and behind these accolades and behind this thing. And the things that you're doing is, the ego is never satisfied. It's never enough. Because that part of you that's yet unaffirmed, that's yet unhealed, that's yet unnurtured, that's yet unswaddled, is still back here starving. All the more now. So
you keep pushing that back.
Yeah.
You keep pushing it back. Because you had the drive, and you get so wrapped up in you have people to tell you, well, you can't do this. You need to stay in your lane. You can't do this. Or let somebody else do this. But you as a person, you know what you're capable of doing because you have to have the faith in yourself. If you don't have the faith in yourself, then all those naysayers, you wouldn't be where you are today.
And I'm gonna make this point because sometimes in my mind it makes sense, but then when I look at the playback, it's like, girl, you didn't make that point at all. So like when I was young, I didn't have folks to say, oh, we're gonna nurture your talent, we're gonna take you to the talent show, go baby go. It was shut the fuck up. That's what I got told often.
See?
Early and often. And no, I didn't have a lot of that. The fact that I'm doing what I'm doing to the level, at the level that I'm doing it, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. I had a kid at 16 and then another one at 8. I was a kid with kids. I tell my children all the time, y'all need therapy because y'all the children of a child. Y'all need therapy. So the fact that I can be where I am, having come from where I came from, it's never lost on me that it is divinely guided, divinely protected, divinely. It's not lost on me, but even in all of that, even in the fact that this is what I'm built for, this is what I was born to do, there's still work that I have to do within to make sure that I'm doing that from a healthy place. And that's the point I'm getting at, to make sure that even in business, that you're checking in with yourself, you're checking in with your motivations, even your frailties, and feeding yourself where you need to be fed, because sometimes we can get it. We can get there. I got the business, I got the funding, I got the grant, I got the accolades, I got the award. But if you don't stop and do the work, you're going to have a bunch of raggedy ass people attached to you, or raggedy ass people, dangerous people in close proximity to you. And you got all of the things, but now you got a bunch of liabilities all around you, a bunch of landmines all around you that you now have to navigate. So it's very important that building, you love on you in the process. And we can love on us in the clothes. That's because I love me some clothes. I love fashion and all that. But that's not going to heal my inner child. It's an expression of myself and my inner child, but it's not doing the healing work of what happened to me as a kid, or what went unresolved, and the things that I went completely blind and deaf and numb to in order to survive and in order to accomplish and achieve. Because that don't go, it's still in your body somewhere.
It's still there.
And it's still informing certain choices, or it's still blinding you to certain realities. So I think that it's important as women that we tap into ourselves and take inventory of who's around us and why. And if that relationship or those connections are not quality, why? Why is it still alive? Why? What is it in me that's feeding this thing or allowing this thing to live? So that's something that was a big lesson for me here lately. And I have to say that I have learned to lean into my authenticity all the more. You know, I've learned to lean into vulnerability all the more. It's something I hated, because as a kid, I was a naturally vulnerable person. I was hey everybody, what's going on? And a little, spacey, and everybody else was thugged out and aggressive and sharp and sharks and, and I'm just swimming around like Nemo, like, hey, what's going on? And you got a family full of sharks and fighters and shooters, and you like,
but what is all that?
Yeah, I just felt so like ill-equipped to be from the family I'm from. And I grew to despise my nature. But now, as a more seasoned woman, I've learned how to make it a double-edged sword. I've learned how to weaponize my vulnerabilities. Right. I learned how to lead from it rather than being guarded and I wish you would, don't try me because I'm from the West Side and I learned how to be that way. No, try me. Because you better believe if you are sensitive and naturally sensitive and creative, or just not just a naturally tough person, you have skills to protect yourself. You are you can sense what's going on in the room. You can smell a shark a mile away. The thing is to recognize when to guard your strengths, because I heard this quote, and I will sing it on the mountaintops forever. An unguarded strength is a double weakness. Right. So if you have the strength to love and be kind and be vulnerable and sweet, which vulnerability is a strength, if you don't guard it, it's worse than a weakness. Right. So for me, I would see people don't mean me. I would feel it in my bones. Everything in me would know that this person ain't right. But it's like, well, maybe they can help. Maybe they will. Maybe. And then everything I felt, everything in me that I knew was right. That's right.
So you give them that chance.
Listen.
To mess up. Because you know they're going to do it.
Give them that chance. Like you going to give your pearls to the swines and the dogs for them to trample it and then turn and rend you. Like, come on now. What we doing? Yeah. There's a whole scripture about that. Let's not do that.
Don't do it.
So what I'm learning is to honor who I am, to live from that place, and to let the gifts and the natural security systems that I'm also equipped with work for me. Right. I don't gotta be squaring up. I don't gotta roll in the dirt with nobody, because I saw you coming. I smelled you. I saw you. I heard you, and I felt it. And I'm not gonna go past that because I feel like I owe you a chance because you the underdog. Because I used to be the underdog. So let me give you a chance. No, baby, I see you.
I already see
Hello.
you. I see you. I see where you come
Grand
from.
opening, grand closing. Hello and goodbye. You know.
How you doing? Have a good night. And that's what you gotta do.
Yes.
And it's not. Some people, I'm gonna say this, the representatives, they can take that as they just mean and they don't do. No. I'm not mean. I see you. That's why I don't mess with you.
And you can think that. I would tell people thank you. Somebody was like, you a bitch. I was like, thank you so much. I've been working on it. And I genuinely meant that. I was like, you think so? I've been working on that. Thank you.
Or they tell you what they had, or they be like, oh, instead of you in your mind saying, well, I wouldn't invite, well, you know what? I wasn't supposed to be there. That's why I'm not invited there. I wasn't supposed to be there. And that's why I wasn't there.
And even if I wasn't, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Because I got so much going on.
Yeah.
I hear you.
And it's like, and so many things, sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes people mean, well, I forgot. I don't even want to put that in my mind. The minute I get bogged down with emotional stuff, it impacts how I show up creatively. I can't carry it. And I don't want to because I don't have to.
You don't have to. You want nobody in your head because that's the worst place somebody can live, in your head rent free. And be like, you ain't paying no bills over here.
Absolutely.
I got to focus on other stuff. And you're not on that list right now. So let me do what I got to do.
And even if they are in my head rent free, okay. All right, I'm gonna let you squat for about 30 minutes. Tell me what you here to tell. What are you here to tell me? And I've learned, because I used to fight. No, absolutely not. Right. No, what are you here to tell me? What is it that I need to know? I'm gonna let you search. Come on, go and run around upstairs. Okay, what's happening? And eventually, it just goes away, dissipates. I just trying to tell you something, or just stop resisting it, and it'll go away. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And you heard it here. You heard it here. Everything what she said, period. Okay? So we've talked about so much, Pia. You want to take a break for a minute? So we talked about so much. I want to get into your album.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, when I get ready to upload this, I'm going to have where you can go and find her album, where you can do the downloads. You got downloads. It is amazing. I was there live. She did live. Whole album release. It was wonderful. The music is nothing like you have heard before, because the voice that comes out, the passion that comes out in the words in the album, and it's just there. And when I heard it, it just gave me chills. It gave me chills because of the voice that comes through. I mean, it is penetrating. So let's talk about it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Tell
us what
your favorite.
Tell us how that album came to.
Okay, this is good. Okay. So before I went to The Voice, I was working on a body of work. I was working on an album. I wanted to have a reggae album because I wanted to do reggae festivals. And if you don't have a body of work, they can be very closed off to allow you to come in. Like, you're not a reggae singer, she's an R&B singer, she's not reggae. That's what I've heard in times past. So I'm like, let me put this reggae album out so they can let me do these festivals and stop giving me a hard time. So I started, I had maybe about anywhere from 4 to 6 songs when I started my time on The Voice. And by the time I exited the show, my mother had passed, my family dynamic had drastically changed. I was in a completely different space. So I'm like, well, I have this body of work I already started working on. I don't want to scrap it. They're good songs. So I decided to make it a double album. But being an independent artist, not recognizing that double albums were not popular until like here lately, where Beyonce did one, John Legend, Drake. So the technology to go in independently in the on the digital distributors to make a double album, it wasn't there at the time. So it looks like it's just one long album of 18 songs, but songs 1 through 9 is Act 1, songs 10 through 18 is Act 2. Okay. So Act 1 is more upbeat, hybrid of reggae, R&B, some pop and Afrobeat, and then Act 2 is more R&B, some hip hop, some dramatic, more you can the tone of the album changes. It much like what happened in my journey as I was creating the album, and I named it 333 because at first I was gonna name the album Legend. And then John Legend's album came out, and the name of his album was Legend, which was crazy because when I shared with him the songs that I had done, I told him, "Oh, this is my album. I'm gonna call it Legend." And he knew what my intents were, and he had already had plans to name his album that, which makes sense that he would call his album Legend. So I thought that was hilarious, right. And it was a double album. I was like, "All right, that leaves me nothing to work with." So then I was like, "Okay, let me rethink how I'm going to present this to the world that in a way that's more resonant and authentic to me," because obviously John Legend's album being called Legend is absolutely appropriate. So then I was like, okay, well, what could I call it? And then I see numbers a lot, like triple digits a lot. Like since my mother passed, I see 111 all the time, and that's how I feel like my mother's. Yeah, that's how I always acknowledge her when I see 111. And so I would see 222, 333, all these numbers all the time. And then one time I just so happened I was seeing 333 a lot. And I was like, oh, okay, that's just my number. That's my jam. And for some reason, I decided to Google what number of November 29th, which is my birthday, what number of out of 365 days, what day it lands on. And it lands on the 333rd day of the year. I was like, oh, this is my number. This all me. This is the album right here. Because the title of that's the title of the album, because the album was representative of my life's experience at that time. Like you have the more party up tempo songs, and then you have the songs where, All I Want Is You starts off with my mother's voice, and she pocket dialed me right before she went to the hospital, and she was saying hello, and she was calling my name, and I could hear the fear in her voice. That is the last voicemail I have from her. And I can't listen to it without it tearing me up, because I could hear in her voice that she was afraid. She was sick, and I could hear her breathing belabored in the background. And, hello, Pia? I was like, oh, it rips me to pieces. So at the top of that song, I put that voicemail, and I wrote that song, and it's not super structured, it's not overly produced, it's just your feelings, everything that's coming out. Yeah, and even then, when I sang it, I just felt like it still didn't scratch the surface of scratch the surface in terms of fully embodying what I felt in her passing, and so I captured that, What the World Needs Now, which I performed on The Voice, which, let me tell you something. If my mother had not passed, I would have probably picked a Lizzo song, some up-tempo, bouncy, and when they gave us the song list and I was looking over the songs, I'm like, I'm looking for reggae songs to do, but nothing is like, I'm listening, it's all right. That ain't, But then when I came to What the World Needs Now and I listened to it, I said, and I just start crying, I said, that's it. That's what so I put down my list of 4. Lizzo was on there just in case, but they chose What the World Needs Now for me.
Yes, that was it for you.
They chose that, and it was so appropriate and so serendipitous, and it was so vulnerable. And like I said, I had such an issue with being openly vulnerable because in times past it was a point at which I would get taken advantage of throughout my life. And I certainly didn't want to be vulnerable in front of all of Middle America watching The Voice and just expressing myself in that way. But at that point, I didn't even care. I'm like, I want to authentically express what I'm feeling and sing a song that's representative of where I actually am in my body, in the world, in this space right now. And if they choose me to move forward, great. If they don't, I did my part. I came, I finished. Whenever that happens, however that happens, I did it. And when I sang that song, the response I got from folks or from the reviews, it blew my mind.
Because it came from the ear, it came from deep down in here, and that was that focus. And that's the song that you picked, and ironically, that's the song that they picked for you because it was meant for you to sing that song. And things come around, and it happens for a reason. And you blew that up.
Yeah, and just to get compared to Whitney, like, I wasn't even looking for that. But that's somebody I study. Like, I've been studying her voice since I was in my 20s in college as a music major.
Iconic.
And I wasn't trying to sound like her. I wasn't trying to channel or embody her in any way. I just wanted to get through the song without crying and cracking. And to get that type of comparison, to have Burt Bacharach, the man who originally, the legendary songwriter, comment and say, whoa, this interpretation, like, to give his kudos to my interpretation was second to none. But
again, from deep down inside, and that was the song meant for you to sing. And like I said, you did a fabulous job, amazing job. The voice, like I said, when I was there at your album release party, just got chills because you put your heart and soul in what you do.
Yeah,
and that means you love what you do. And a lot of people can say, "Yeah, I want to sing. I want to do this." That's not what they want to do. They just want to do it because they can. But doing something because that's what you love makes a difference in the outcome.
Yeah.
And you love what you do.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yes, I know.
I love what I do. Period. Doing it independently can be so challenging. Is. However, everything that I need, I've been like, if I say I want some pound cake and I'm waiting for the pound cake to come, but all of, you done heard this analogy before. You got the eggs, the milk, the sugar, the sifter, you got the pan, the butter. It's all right there. You gotta make the cake. It's all right there. So when I look at my life, all of the tools that I need are there for me to be successful. It's just a matter of me
putting it together.
Yeah, because it's like, well, God, just give me the cake, man. I'm tired.
You gotta put it together.
I've been working all my life. I had to fight. Just give me the cake, God.
But you know what? You're always have been on the right road. And like I said, this album was it. Your appearance on The Voice was it. Your national anthems on the baseball field, on the basketball court is it. Be proud of what you have accomplished and what you are accomplishing. It makes a big difference because you had that passion and drive. Some people have a passion and don't have a drive, but some people have a drive and don't have a passion. You got both.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just so happy that you had time to sit down here and talk to me. If we had, some kind of something to give us a sample of your voice, think you can do that?
Yes.
We want to get some samples, give us a couple minutes, and then she's going to come back to give you a sampling of what I know that she has. Pia Renee is here. She's gonna give you a little bit of what I know she can do. Her voice is amazing. If you don't get chills, I know I'm gonna get chills because I'm sitting right here next to her. Mm-hmm. So whatever you want to do, I'm gonna let you just free fall. Just go at it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine this and more. If you want to know what the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Oh my goodness. Look, I was sitting here, I felt it. Mm-hmm. I felt it. I thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You all, I'm going to post her album. I'm going to post where you can download, where you can go buy it. I want you all to support her. She is fabulous. She is here in live, living color. You know, she needs her accolades. She's had so many, but we're going to keep pushing her and supporting her and putting her up there. Shy, got to get her on there. Get her on there. 12, 13, 14, forever.
Yes.
I want
a series regular and a beloved character on a highly successful, long-running TV show. That's what we want around here.
Look, they better get you on what is it? Curtis 50 Cent Jackson? He better put you on.
Not the man whole name.
He can look.
Listen, I would love to be on one of his shows. Oh my God, they are so.
He has a powerful book of, series, and I'm following him. I love his shows, but you need to be on there.
Yes.
You need to be a reoccurring person on one of his shows because he will not go wrong with you there.
Yes, I agree.
He won't go wrong.
I agree. It's coming. I've been speaking this over my life. Mm-hmm. I am a series regular, beloved character on a highly successful, long-running TV show. And I mean that with all of my being. All of it. It's going to happen.
Yes,
it's going to happen. It's happened.
Look, two touch
we living our way into it.
That's right. That's right. Two touch and agree. It's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to happen. You all, thank you so much. Pia Renne, thank you so much. I love you, love you, love you. I thank you for the last minute call and doing this.
Yes.
I want to have you come back so we can talk about more things when you do book the series, recurring series role, and you can fill us in at a later date.
Yes.
Because I'm behind you.
Thank you. And I know it. I know it.
Oh,
love you.
I love you too. All right. All right. Thank you all so much.
Oh, if you go on my website, I'm revamping. I got a new photo shoot, new headshot. So it's under construction. So if you see that, don't worry. Just go to my socials at I am Pia Renee across all platforms and see me there as we rebuild the website.
You heard it here. First Sha-Poppin podcast. Thank you all and good night.
Can't live with you, don't wanna be without you, so I blocked you.